Hi, welcome to Snacks and Stacks, and today we're gonna do my July wrap-up. In July, I read 9 books. I DNF'd one of them. I did 3 TV rewatches and 1 new movie. So let's get started. My books, I listened to An Unexpected Peril by Diana Raybourn. This is book 6 of the Veronica Speedwell series. In this book, Veronica and Stoker figure out that a mountaineer has been murdered because they found a piece of rope that was cut in her things. They're actually holding an exhibit for her. They're trying to put it together. And when they received all her last things, Stoker realizes that the rope was cut in a weird way, although he really doesn't even want to mention it because he's kind of tired of investigating murders and putting himself in danger and Veronica in danger. But Veronica wants to be adventurous and wants to solve stuff. So we're kind of in that dynamic. There are some communication problems between the two. They just got together. Sorry if that's a bit of a spoiler, but so it's kind of like now that they're together, let's cause tension. And that's pretty much what happens. In this book, the author also makes up a small mountaineering country, and she did it so well, I did not know it was fake until I Googled it because I was very interested. In one of her previous books, she mentions Jack the Ripper, and so I find that sometimes she'll bring in historical facts, and I was like, maybe this is like a country I've never heard of, because it is unreal. But she actually comes up with its own politics and royalty, and I thought it was very well done. And yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. You may have seen that I finished The Priory of the Orange Tree. I did a whole separate video on that. The video is a little spazzy and not great, but I loved that book. I thought it was done really well. It is not perfect, but for such a big book and such a cool world, I thought it was really, really good. This is an epic fantasy with dragons, magic, and politics. If you've never heard of it, you basically have 2 types of dragons in this world, and you have the serpent-like dragons and then the fire breathers. And in the fire breathers, there's one that's called the Nameless One, and that is the big bad that is going to come and basically ruin the world. And because of that, we have lots of different countries trying to fight it in their own ways. We have different religions and ways of life in all these countries. There's a queendom that we kind of focus on in Virtudom, and they have their own thoughts. There is another area that we focus on that thinks that the sea serpent type dragons are like gods and they ride them. We have so many different perspectives. I believe there's 4, and we have so many different places, and they all travel and they all intermingle, and it's really, really good. I think there are definitely parts where I felt like issues got solved a bit too easily, but I understand the book probably shouldn't get any bigger, so there's that. I also wrote that the author has a really cool way of writing where I thought that even if I put the book down, I can pick back up and know where I was at, knew what was going on. There's an index in the back to help you. And also I thought that characters were just very distinct and easy to not get confused. So I don't know, there's just something about the way Samantha Shannon writes that I really applaud her for. It's such a big world. It's so much stuff. There's so much going on and it works all together. So I gave that 4 stars. In the middle of reading that book, I went on vacation and decided to only bring my Kindle. And because of that, I don't know if that's why I DNF'd these books or if, I was not loving them because I was in the middle of a book that I really liked. But I DNF'd Murder Your Employer, The McMaster's Guide to Homicide by Rupert Holmes. This is a kind of guide to a place that teaches people how to unalive someone. And It's written in like what's supposed to be funny and interesting way. There are multiple narrators, and so far I'm only 30% in. The two narrators felt very similar. I was just not into it. And I don't know if it's the writing style, the fact that I was in a bit of a slump and switching books didn't work out for me, or that this book is really just something that I needed a narrator for. So I'm not sure. I think I might go back to it when I'm in like a different mood. Right now, I'm not so sure on it. If you've read this book and think it's fantastic, convince me to continue. I also read The Cupcake Cottage by Jean Oram. I was very close to DNFing this one, but it was at the point where sometimes decision paralysis gets me, and I will just continue on with a mid-book so that I have something to do. And that's kind of what happened here. I think this book is not as popular, so I don't want to trash it, but I do think that this book is not for people who like reading very good writing or very tight, well-edited books. This book is more of like an okay romance book. It's clean and it's kind of sweet and lovely, but not much more. It is a hockey romance too, so there's that. I listened to Think Again by Adam Grant. This is a nonfiction book that talks about the importance of rethinking and relearning, and part of that too is unlearning. I gave this book a 3.5. Basically, I didn't really learn any new information. I did like the anecdotes within the book, but most of it is just a good reminder to stay flexible in your thinking and try to solve problems in different ways. I don't really think it's anything new for me in particular, but I thought the writing style was pretty okay, the narrator was good, and it was good enough to listen to while I was working. And I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I am sitting on this little ottoman and it's making a lot of noises. I'm sorry. I did spoil myself on the ending because I was so curious, and it was something I was reading or listening to while I was working. I just couldn't get to the ending fast enough. And so I did spoil myself, but I did continue reading it because I really wanted to know how the heck that would happen. And so I say that's a good sign. So I gave this a 4.25. There are reasons why it's not a 5, and I'll get to that. This was based on a high school senior who's doing her senior project. And in this senior project, she is exploring the disappearance of a girl from 5 years ago. 5 years ago, this girl disappeared, and the girl's boyfriend at the time was blamed and committed suicide and basically said that he did it, and there was all this evidence that connected the two. Our main character, Pippa, she says that there's no way this guy would have killed her. Like, she's like, I've met him, he was so nice, da-di-da-di-da. And so they live in a small town, so this boy's family is like admonished and like, you know, has all these bad things happening to them. And so she goes and befriends the brother and tries to basically solve the case. I thought this was done really well. I thought it was very intriguing. The plot was good. There were some parts where I thought Pippa was like, you're being the girl that walks towards the sound. Like, why would you do that? But I understand that's for the forward of the story. And I thought that it was done well. I just thought a couple things. I didn't love the ending. I didn't love who the bad guy was. I did enjoy the twists, but I also was kind of like, wow, their police force investigators are so bad. And then I felt like this sounded, especially since I was listening to the audiobook, so much like the podcast Serial, like the first episode. And that to me just like felt a little weird. Like I felt like, and I definitely think it was inspired by. So my last 3 books were all romance books that I didn't read in this particular order, but I realized that I read 3 books about F now, love later. basically. That was the trope. Like, I was like, oh, how did I end up reading 3 books that was all about, like, friends with benefits, basically, first? So, I don't know. I guess that's just what came up. I read The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. This is another hockey romance. I gave it a 3.5. Thought it was pretty good, but the ending was a little bit off character for me. We have Gigi Graham, who's the daughter of Garrett Graham, and she wants to be in the hockey Olympics. Garrett Graham is supposedly like the best hockey player ever, okay? And so she's been trying to kind of make it on her own without her dad's help, but you know, she's also a great hockey player, and so she's looking for some help with some certain areas of hockey playing from Luke Ryder. Luke Ryder is a male hockey player that basically his college team and the college team that Gigi's school is on, the men's team, they kind of like got absorbed into each other. And now Luke Ryder is trying to prove himself to be just as valuable of a player, but also her dad, Garrett, runs like this junior program, and he really wants to be a part of it. He wants Gigi to like talk him up, and so he's helping her with these special skills. And through this kind of contact, they realize that they would like to relieve some tension. And so then they start a relationship that is, you know, always just physical, and then they become something more. I do think that the progression of their relationship worked really well. I was so ready to give this book a way higher rating, but the ending was just so peculiar to me. And so, yeah, I feel like there was some things that needed to be worked out. I also didn't like the way her family was written, her dad was written. Like, I never read the previous books where her dad was the main character, so I don't know if that's just his character, but I was kind of like, I felt like the dad was acting very childish. There's that. I also feel like this month I was very judgmental with my ratings. Like, I felt like being just pickier. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's something with me right now. I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is, I think, how you do a casual fling to a serious relationship. This was done so well. We have Alexis, who's an ER doctor, and she comes from a family of like renowned doctors. They basically own a hospital, and they are like very important people. And so she is an ER doctor, and her father's always looking down on her for being just an ER doctor, even though that is where her passion lies. She recently broke up with her fiance because her fiance cheated on her, and also because he was emotionally abusive. And so she runs into Daniel, who is like the ultimate golden retriever trope boy. He is the sweetest. He comes from a very small town. He still lives in this small town. His family is a big deal in this small town, and he's basically their mayor. He fixes problems. He'll go around. He knows everybody. He talks to everybody, and he has like the biggest heart. And so they kind of hook up, and even though it's like a couple hours away from each other, they end up she ends up visiting him a lot and continuing this relationship that she says is nothing serious and it can't be serious. And he understands that, but he says, basically, if you're gonna come 3 hours away, I'm gonna treat you right. And of course they fall in love, and there's a lot of things that kind of keep them apart. You know, there's a lot of mistakes made on both sides, mostly on her side, I think. But I think everything that needed to be resolved got resolved quickly and well done. And yes, I would say I would highly recommend this book to people who like more serious romance with a lot of character building and character growth. And there were spicy scenes. Lastly, I read, oh darn, it's downstairs. I read Business Casual by B.K. Borson. B.K. Borson is easily one of my favorite romance authors. Love Light series has been amazing. I love almost all the couples. I will say the third couple is my favorite. Oh, Layla and Caleb. Layla and Caleb are my favorite. But anyways, in book 4, we have Charlie and Nova. And they are already friends in the beginning who flirt. And so that's basically my only con about this book, is that we don't get a meet cute. We don't get them like first flirting or like the first time. And we just don't get to see that beginning part, building. We start off, they already flirt, they already know each other, they're already hanging out, and then it becomes something more so soon. And their flirting is so cute, them being together is so cute, so it's fine. But it was very spicy, especially since the bulk of the book is them just already together. Almost, they are already like had feelings, I think. So it was kind of weird. But yeah, they both have a lot of personal stuff that they're working through as they're working through if they should be in a relationship together. And of course they end up together, and it's lovely. Let me tell you about them. Charlie is so adorable. I would say he's probably also a golden retriever. He's very personable. He wants to talk to everybody. He wants everyone to like him. He's a big people pleaser, and he's like an investment banker from the city. I want to say it's New York City, but that's also very far away, so maybe not. And Nova just is opening her very own tattoo shop in her hometown, and so she feels a lot of pressure to do things as perfectly as possible. And yeah, I felt like this book gave you a lot on Charlie, and like Nova felt a little bit underdeveloped. Like, she's supposed to be artsy, and she gets migraines, and she's grumpy, and she feels a lot of pressure. But I don't really feel much else about her, so maybe that's also why I didn't love it as much. So yeah, those are all the books I read, and let's just run through the TV. I've talked about some of these already. I rewatched The Apothecary Diaries because it's awesome. I also rewatched Attorney Woo Young Woo. This is a K-drama on Netflix. It's based on Attorney Woo, who is the first autistic lawyer in Korea. It's not based on a historical character or anything. This is just the character in the show. And she has a love for the law and a love for whales. And each episode is her going through a trial and a case and trying to solve it with her friend, her team. And her team is lovely. You have, actually, they're not lovely. One guy's not lovely, but it's very well rounded with different characters. We have people who might feel that she's getting special advantage because she is autistic, and then we have people who understand that she is autistic and she might need a little help. And so yeah, I think it's so well done. It's probably one of the first K-dramas that my husband and I watched together because it was like talked about everywhere, and I really wanted to watch it, and he really enjoys it too because we also love like criminal shows, so it's kind of similar to those. So yeah, I rewatched seasons 1 through 3 of Brooklyn Nine-Nine in July, and I'm just going to tell you now, I also watched season 4 in the beginning of August. So that's all 4 seasons on Netflix of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a episodic, like kind of like the Office and Parks and Rec. It's like, but there's no talking to the camera interview style, but it's just following this precinct. And I love their friendship and the humor, and it's a great time. The last thing was I watched the movie The Beekeeper. This is a Jason Statham movie, and like all movies that he's in, just like the mechanic, the transporter, now he's also the beekeeper. The beekeeper is a person who works for this super secret entity that keeps the hive healthy, the hive being the world. He decides that, there's just some bad stuff going on and he's going to take care of it. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I thought that the trailer was done really well. I thought that the movie was done pretty well. It's a good movie. It's a good action flick. And there's definitely parts where we were like, whoa, that happened. So, yeah, if you like Jason Statham movies, I will bet you will like The Beekeeper, because we did. That is my July wrap up. Please tell me your favorite thing you read in July or in August, because we're nearly at the end of August too. Happy binging, happy snacking. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. If you know this webtoon, we're best friends.